Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to build the exact lead generation system using AI that a buddy of mine is using to generate opportunities worth £50,000 to £150,000. Now, this is a live build, so this means that I will take you from identifying the keyword, building the site using Gemini 3 in AI Studio, getting it ranking in Google, and having it start generating actual leads all within 24 hours. As always, if you want access to the show notes, sign up to the link in the description. You'll be sent a Notion board that looks like this. If you then select the first link on that Notion board, I give you the step-by-step how to create the system. Additionally, if you like videos such as this, then please hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's dive into it. Let me just briefly set the scene because this is a real lead generation system that we've built for a kitchen company that we've recently partnered with. And this kitchen company is run by a very trusted friend of mine. He knows anything and everything there is to do with kitchens. And towards the end of last year, for one reason or another, he was forced to go self-employed. So he dropped me a voice note and he said, "Hey, Ben, can you give me a bit of a hand on the lead gen site?" And I said, "Yes, my friend, of course I will help you." This guy has a fantastic reputation in the game. So removing sort of all the back and forth we had, what are the key things that you need to know for this video? So he pretty much covers the entirety of the southeast of the UK. So from Surrey, Kent and Sussex. The average order value for one of these kitchens, hear this, sits between £50,000 to £150,000. This guy does luxury, bespoke, fitted kitchens. It is a highly premium product. This guy does not cut corners, which is why I was so excited to partner with him. He does the full turnkey solution as well. So full end-to-end, the design, the build, pretty much everything goes through him. So what I'm going to do is take you through the system that we've built for him and one that you should be able to copy and replicate in your industry too. Now, to give you a bit of insight into some of the brunt work that we've done to do the planning for this, what I asked ChatGPT is essentially to give me a list of keywords that start with the phrase luxury kitchens and then add a location that's based in the southeast appended at the end of it. And what it's done is it's given me a list that looks a little bit like this. And what I'm going to do is copy and paste this and put it directly into Ahrefs. Now, what we can see is that it's obviously a low volume game, but this is fine. When we're looking at local SEO, like this, we are very much looking at surface area more than volume. We essentially want to have our hat in the ring for anyone that's searching from any of these locations. And they're essentially looking for a luxury kitchen, right? And what I'm going to do is just choose an example of one of these and take you through it. So this one here, luxury kitchen, Tunbridge Wells, 50 searches a month. And look, the competition according to Ahrefs is so low that they haven't even generated the SERP down here. Now, this is where what I'm going to do is I will always do is just plug it into Google and just give the SERP a bit of an eyeball. Now, because he doesn't have an office in Tunbridge Wells itself, we cannot appear for the maps, but that's fine. What we're doing is aiming to get a listing in the organic listings that sit below the map pack. Now, this next bit is truly where I feel the magic happens. So whereas more sort of traditional SEO is you would build out a page on your site. So in this case, the kitchen site that we're working with, we would build out a page that targets the keyword luxury kitchens Tunbridge Wells, or we might build out a region page that, you know, is like a pillar page of luxury kitchens, then links off to Tunbridge Wells. In this instance, what we're going to do to get quicker rankings where we can essentially start generating opportunities within 1 to 2 days is we're going to see if we can register luxury kitchens tunbridgewells.co.uk. So essentially we will look to create an exact match domain. And then we create a website that is at most maybe sort of 3 to 5 pages or something like that. These tend to rank incredibly quickly. Now, of course, there's many factors that come into this. So if it's a highly competitive SERP or keyword, then the likeliness of quick rankings is next to zero, basically. But when you're going after a local term that is a little bit less competitive and typically sort of lower search, you can rank top for these keywords within sort of 1 to 2 days. And the reason that this works so well is, broadly speaking, because Google doesn't always know if this is a branded keyword or not. So when someone searches luxury kitchens and they're either from Tunbridge Wells or they put luxury kitchens Tunbridge Wells, Google doesn't quite know at the start anyway as to whether that user is looking for this new business called luxury kitchen Tunbridge Wells, or they're just looking for luxury kitchens and they're based in Tunbridge Wells, if that makes sense. So the first thing that we want to do to try and assess whether this website is free to register or not is essentially jump into GoDaddy.com and have a look at domains. Now, there are other domain providers. Of course, we just tend to use GoDaddy. And what I'm going to do is have a look. Luxury kitchens, Tunbridge Wells. And we can see that luxury kitchens, tunbridgewells.co.uk is available. And what we're going to do is just go through and register this. Okay, guys, pop the champagne. We are now the proud owners of luxury kitchens, tunbridgewells.co.uk. The next step with this is to actually build out the website. Now, thankfully, long gone are the days where we need to pay a developer into the thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds to build out a 2 or 3 page site and us sort of waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4, however many months it used to be, right? With ChatGPT and with Google's AI Studio, we can build pretty good sites that not only look the part, but they tend to rank pretty quickly as well. So let me just fire ChatGPT back open again. And my tech stack with this is I will ask ChatGPT to create the prompt for Gemini. This seems to be a system that works really well because they think a little bit more out the box. So what I'm going to do is fire in the prompt and then I'll show you what I've asked it. Okay, awesome stuff. I've put in my prompt. Let me just walk you through it a little bit. So firstly, I'm asking explicitly for ChatGPT to give me the prompt to put into Gemini 3. Then here's some of my guardrails. So obviously I want it to create a luxury kitchen website. The website is exclusively targeting the keyword luxury kitchens. Clearly I can't spell today. Luxury kitchens, Tunbridge Wells. The homepage should be targeted towards this keyword, including about us page, ensure it has a contact page, ensure we have lots of images of kitchens. So I've also added in some of the key selling points of Stone and Rent kitchens, the full turnkey solution, handmade and bespoke. So these are all things that were sort of mentioned to me when I had a chat with my buddy, basically. Include a privacy policy, terms of use and cookie policy page. For this, I'm just going to include an example email address and phone number just to not publicly declare it. And then from an SEO perspective, ensuring that a Google crawler can find, index and render the content. And then the final bit is on FormSpree. So we signed up to FormSpree. Whenever you sign up to FormSpree, they give you an ID, and I think they give you like 50 free submissions to begin with or something like that. We can essentially create a contact form that fires this ID and then lands into essentially this CRM whenever we get notified of an inquiry, basically. Let me jump back into ChatGPT. Yeah, and that finished it off. So what I'm going to do is hit enter on this, and then what this will present to us is a prompt to fire into AI Studio. I'm also just going to add one thing, which is give me the output in JSON. JSON is a language that the AI models can better easily understand. Awesome, GPT-5 has given us an output in JSON, which is awesome. Senior web dev, SEO strategist, front-end dev, specializing in luxury home and interiors website in the UK, targeting luxury kitchens, Tunbridge Wells, UK. Awesome. So this looks fine. So what I'm going to do is copy this. And then if you jump into Google and Google AI Studio, you'll be presented with a wonderful landing page that looks a little bit like this. Now, the beauty with AI Studio is not only does it create fantastic looking websites, it also does it free of charge. So the cost of websites, guys, has basically gone to zero, which means we can do so much of our lead generation now at zero cost. It is bananas as to where we're at with this. So jump into build AI apps. And what I'm going to do is just paste that prompt directly into Gemini 3 and let it do its thing, basically. Awesome stuff. And 57 seconds later, we have the first output of a website. Now, for a first crack, not that bad. So as instructed, we've got pinnacle luxury kitchens in Tunbridge Wells, bespoke handmade kitchen designs. Yeah, this all looks good. Missing some images. Obviously, the white and white doesn't quite work there. Stone and Rent, that's awesome. A couple of broken images, but not to worry. Contact us today. This takes us to a contact us page, which is awesome. We've got our inquiry sort of little form there. We've also got a privacy terms. We've got a cookies page down here. So this is all looking pretty good. So let's tidy it up a little bit. Homepage, white text on white background doesn't work. Can we use a image? Additionally, look for broken images and replace them with lifestyle kitchen images. And then for the sake of this, if we can resolve that, I think we're pretty much done. So I've just asked if it can replace the white and white in the homepage and then replace some of these broken images as well. Obviously, there's so much we can do with this, as you can imagine, and some of these sites have been built out quite significantly. So even having like a gallery page showing all the work that my buddy's done, putting in like Google reviews, swipe files on before and afters. It's pretty infinite what you can do, especially with AI. I'm not a developer, I'm a marketer. I just tell it what I want in so many different sort of ways and aim to get the best output, basically. So you can keep building on this. Even when you've deployed, you can keep building and keep iterating, keep improving, basically. Awesome. Not quite the kitchen, but a nice sort of lifestyle, and the colors work a lot better. So that's cool. Okay, we've still got a couple of broken images here. It's added in 2 more down here. For the sake of this, I'm just going to continue, but obviously you guys can keep iterating and working on your project. Now, one of the reasons why I love AI Studio is if you were to use one of the other models, and we do, like I use Claude Code, but I have to integrate it with a terminal. So I have to integrate it with Cursor or VS Code, and that takes a little bit more learning and understanding. I think AI Studio is the easiest platform to essentially start getting comfortable with GitHub and with hosting as well. So I know sometimes GitHub might seem like a scary thing. It's not. I'm going to walk you through it right now. And one of the reasons why I love AI Studio is we have this button up here, which is essentially like an auto deploy to GitHub. So we can send all our files, essentially our website, to GitHub so that we can essentially present them to the world. Now, if you're sort of sat there thinking, what on earth is GitHub? Let me just briefly explain how websites work. So when we have a website is essentially just a series of files, folders and files. So within a folder, we'll have like a file. We'll have like an HTML, TypeScript. Pretty much websites are just built on folders and files. Now, when you build things locally, you can run them on a local host. What GitHub essentially allows us to do is to take all these files and folders and essentially present them to the entire world. That is a map of the earth, believe it or not. I need to give it a repository name and a description. Tunbridge Wells luxury kitchens, and then I'm going to give it the exact same description. Really struggling to spell today, aren't I? Keep the visibility private and then click create Git repo. Now, if you are unfamiliar with GitHub, just as that saves, if you just literally Google GitHub, select the first listing. GitHub is completely free. So if you sign up to an account, you can essentially create your first repository, is what it's called. I'm going to jump back into AI Studio and select stage and commit all changes. And what this is doing is it's essentially saving all my files and all my folders that were just listed there into my GitHub repository. So obviously I've got an account on GitHub. If I select my icon in the top right hand corner and select repositories, then I can see that my repository has been saved up at the top here. With AI Studio, it's very simple to just essentially add your GitHub username, and then that will allow the syncing between the AI Studio and the GitHub repository. Now, if I open this up, we can see that all my folders, all my files are saved in this repository. So now this is available in the cloud, but no one can access it because I've kept it private, and we haven't connected our domain with this repository either. So that's the next step. If you ever want to run your website locally, you can scroll at the bottom, and AI Studio has a URL that looks like this. So if you ever just want to see what it looks like and reopen it, you've got a link directly with it there. If you ever want to download the files locally, simply hit the download app up at the top here. And of course, you can share it with friends or whomever as well. This is why I love AI Studio. I would say it's very much a starter's toolkit to immersing yourself with the likes of code, building, GitHub, and it's far more seamless to integrate with obviously with Gemini than it is to connect Claude Code to Cursor, which I can understand creates a bit of friction, or there's still a level of complexity that some users might struggle to get their heads around. So once we've stored in GitHub, we now need to connect it with a host. There's many that you can choose from, to be honest. We've settled on Versal. I like the integration it has with GitHub, but you can use Cloudflare. You can use pretty much any host that you wish. So versal.com, open this up. Of course, I've got all my projects here. Now, I do believe you need a pro account, which is something like $20 or £20 a month, something like that. But it has a nice integration with GitHub. So if you go to Add New and Project, you can essentially add your GitHub repository here. And then what it does is Versal will look for any new projects in GitHub and then automatically sync it into Versal within sort of one click. So as you can see, my Tunbridge Wells Luxury Kitchens has already been automatically found by Versal, and all I then need to do is select import. The rest of these I wouldn't touch. If you're a little bit more advanced with this, you might want to change the framework preset. In addition, if you're using any API keys, you can add them here, but you can, of course, add them later. And then quite simply just hit deploy. And what this means is that the GitHub repository will be hosted on a Versal domain. So this means that we can actually view our site on a domain that looks something like Tunbridge Wells Luxury Kitchens.versalapp.com or .versal.app, something like that. Awesome. Another bottle of champagne needs to get popped because we are now deployed. So let's jump into the dashboard. Yeah, so as we can see, the deployment is live on this site here. Interestingly, though, this isn't actually loading anything up. So I'm going to go through a little bit of troubleshooting with you guys. Now, one of the shortfalls of the Bytes framework is that it does throw up some errors sometimes. So what I'm going to do is jump back into AI Studio. Now, bear in mind, AI Studio is connected to GitHub, which is connected to Versal. So we can make all our changes in AI Studio and it will automatically deploy all the way to Versal. So I'm just going to try and troubleshoot this now. Cool. So I've literally just explained the problem in plain English, that the page is blank, not showing anything. Now, I've run into a similar issue before with sites, and I believe it was an issue with the framework that we're using. So I've just told it to look at that specifically. Can you investigate, resolve, and then deploy? Okay, so it's come back and given me a bunch of changes that it's made, and I can see that it's updated a load of our files here. Now, if you come back over to GitHub, we need to commit all of these to GitHub. So I don't know what a great deal of this means, but what we're going to do is select stage and commit all changes. When this gets committed to GitHub, that will automatically fire into Versal for a redeployment. So that means that essentially Versal will refresh with the updated version of GitHub. Okay, awesome. That's been done. So I'm going to jump back into Versal and we can see this new deployment has been listed here. So if you ever want to check if Versal has redeployed, if you come into deployments up at the top here, and then every single new deployment will be listed. So we can see that it's just running and this looks like it's completed. So if I jump back into overview and I jump back into website, okay, fantastic. We can see that it's now loaded. So AI Studio found the issue, resolved it, and we now have a live site. Of course, we've still got a couple of broken images there, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to go through and resolve those, but we have a live site. The second to last step with this is, of course, connecting this site with the domain that we previously registered in GoDaddy, and this is super straightforward. So what you need to do is when you're in Versal, select domains, and then you quite simply just need to add the domain that you've registered. So if I come back over to GoDaddy, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it and hit save. What this will do will create two versions of the site. So one will be a www. One will be a www, as you can see down here, and one will be a non-www. So when you have HTTPS : and then the domain name, that's essentially that. And what this does automatically, you can change it, is it will redirect the non-www to the www version. Now, of course, we need to verify that we own both of these, and we do that by configuring the settings in the DNS. So what we need to do is essentially find these records, so the A record and the CNAME record, and replace them with these values that have been listed here in our GoDaddy. So essentially where we purchased the domain from. The one thing I absolutely hate about GoDaddy is when you register a domain, it aggressively forces you down into this website builder function that it now has, and it feels impossible to get away from it. So yeah, once you've registered it, do not keep hitting continue, because it will try and build this site for you. Just don't do it. They're awful sites. Go back into your overview panel, and then you need to navigate to domain, select the DNS, and then here's where you update your records. So we've got an A name and an A type and a C name record. These are the two we need to update with the values that Vercel has given us here. So type A, name at, value is that. So I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to replace this with that, and then go back and replace my C name www with this ID here. And it's this one we need to replace. Yeah, I know it feels a bit weird that we're replacing the domain name, but just trust me on this one. Replace that with this, hit save. And then what that essentially says to GoDaddy is we are essentially hosting the domain into Vercel, and it will look for those IDs, match them up, and it means that Vercel can deploy these sites. Now this is on an auto, but you can hit refresh just to speed it up a little bit. And what you'll notice is when it's been recognized, it will start this generating SSL certificate. And this means that we are very close to having our site live and fully functioning, which would be pretty fun, right? Oh, now to be honest, this can take a few minutes to propagate. If you're like me, like I'm sure you are, you'll just sit here essentially hitting refresh until this is done. And then we have our site. Okay, cool. Looks like these are both valid now. And what we have is our live site, live to the web. So this is now freely accessible to anyone. Let me just check www. Awesome stuff. Now there's one final thing that we can do just to speed up the rate at which Google indexes it. There's a tool called Index Me Now, and this essentially speeds up indexing. So if you run these domains through Index Me Now, you can expect them to be live within sort of 1 to 2 days. Let me just give you a quick rundown as to how this works. What I'm going to do is create a new project, and then what I'm going to do is just paste it into Index Me Now. And what this does is it will attempt to force indexing of this domain, and then if it cannot successfully index the domain, it will refund us a credit. And I think a credit costs like 60, 70 cents, something like that. And just to give you a sense of how quick this works, Luxury Kitchens Brighton, while sitting top of the listing here, this went live just 5 days ago, and we're already top for this. And I think some of my data showed this had like 150 searches, something like that. So I hope this has been super valuable. You can pretty much use this across any low competition, local keyword. Now, of course, make sure that you are tying it to an actual business. So part of the sort of SOP that I do with this is I will always make it clear that we're part of this business here. This is literally just a shop window for this business. You will be dealing with this business if you commit a contact form or send some information. But yeah, have some fun with it. Let me know how you get on, and I will see you on the next video.